Hey YouTube, this is Alex from Team Generations here with a budget deck profile for True Ancient Dragons, the new Tachikaze budget deck archetype out of Phantom Dragon Aeon. Really fun deck, relying on a pretty cool RNG kind of skill. I think it's really great that they've included this budget trend in the past couple sets, so without further ado, let's jump right into some of the pros and cons and get into the deck profile. Alright, so jumping right in, we are looking at the True Ancient Dragons. Just to kind of go over some of the main mechanics before I jump into the deck profile, some of the pros and cons like I mentioned. True Ancient Dragons basically rely on a mechanic which is when you drive check a front trigger, all of your True Ancient Dragons gain an extra critical. Super cool because you're getting that power from the front trigger across your front board, all of your units. Also, you're getting that critical, so you're applying more pressure. It's no longer just an Excel poke. If they want to try to get poked, they have to risk getting 2 damage plus, which is not quite in everyone's game plan. So cool, fun mechanic. I really like it. I think it's awesome that they put this kind of power in a budget deck, and I really like that they're doing this budget deck kind of trend like I mentioned over the past few sets. So jumping right in now to the pros and cons. Some of the pros of the deck are that it's able to fill a board really quick. You don't need to call a ton of cards from hand. You'll see as we go through the profile that there are a bunch of different cards that allow us to fill up our board, keep that presence on there, and to really keep the pain train rolling. Another pro of this deck is, unlike a lot of other Excel plans, I feel like Tachikaze does have some draw power, so it's nice finally to be able to have that. You kind of have a hand presence, and like I mentioned too, we are filling up our board with a lot of different effects, so you don't have to call a ton from hand. So I notice my hand size is always pretty decent with this deck. I do like that draw power a lot. Some of the cons of this deck are that while that mechanic is super nice, the drive check a front trigger, get the crit, it's super RNG reliant. If we don't hit that, we kind of shut off a lot of our turn, which just kind of sucks. So yeah, that definitely is a con, relying on RNG to win. It's never a super coherent strategy. Again, this is a budget deck, so I understand. The second con I would say of this deck is that we can get resource starved. A lot of these cards do rely on counterblasts, so if your opponent doesn't damage you, yeah, you're not losing the game right away, but you are not able to fill up your board as much as you'd like, maybe not get some of that draw power that I mentioned, so you're definitely able to get counter-starved, and yeah, your opponent can deny you resources and you can fall subject to that. Moving into the breakdown of the profile now, we are looking at, starting with our grade 3s, we're looking at 4 of our main boss unit. This is True Ancient Dragon Blade Ramius, and this is what we kind of want to ride every single turn. This is, like I said, our main boss unit. It has that Excel marker. Its skill is act once per turn. Retire a rear guard, choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. Search your deck for up to 1 card with Ancient Dragon in its name. Call it to rear guard and shuffle our deck. That unit gets plus 5,000, so we're giving it power, retiring a card on our opponent's fields, plus we are searching our deck, which allows us to be pretty versatile. There's not crazy mechanics within Ancient Dragon, but you can choose what you kind of need for specific situations by looking with this card, so I definitely think that's a nice mechanic. Overall, solid card. It doesn't need a counterblast or soul blast, it's pretty resource non-reliant, so I like that about it. When your drive check reveals that front trigger, it gets an extra critical, so super solid unit all around, the main boss unit of our deck. And then our second grade 3, running 4 of these, is the only grade 3s in the deck. True Ancient Dragon Barrel Tops. This is a great support grade 3 actually. Its skill is that when it's placed, if you have a Vanguard with Ancient Dragon in its card name, we can counterblast one to draw a card, and then this unit gets plus 5,000, so gets that power gain, also allows us to draw power is always great. It still does have an Excel circle, so if we have to ride this, it's not the end of the world really. Because it also satisfies its own condition that we're gonna have an Ancient Dragon in our as our Vanguard, so we can still counterblast one to draw that card. So great support card either way. I find myself calling this off of Blade Ramius quite a bit. Yeah, and it also shares, again, True Ancient Dragon, that when we reveal that front trigger from a drive check, it gains an extra critical, so pressure and yeah, synergy. grade 2s now, moving on. We're starting off with a card that's not actually an Ancient Dragon. This is, oh god, Zealous Horn Dragon Dilofire? I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but its skill is that when it's placed from hand, we get to cost counterblast 1 and draw a card. Again, more draw power, it's always nice. We then call a card from hand to rearguard circle, and we can put the top card of our deck as face down as an equip gauge to that unit. This deck does not rely off of the equip gauge mechanic too much at all. This is really just a secondary kind of thing. We don't want equip gauges necessarily, we don't need them. The second skill is when placed by an equip gauge gets 10,000 till the end of turn. Not really relevant for this deck and this play style, so yeah. Just nice to have that draw power. I like it. I included it in here at a 3 of. And moving on to our True Ancient Dragon grade 2s, we're running 4 of pretty much of all of them. True Ancient Dragon, what is this? Heft Styrace. This one's skill is that when it's placed on an additional rearguard circle, or when it's just on an additional rearguard circle, this unit cannot be retired by opponent's card effects and gets plus 5,000. This is cool wording because it can't be bound, can't be retired from like a mass retire. It just cannot be retired. I guess it actually, yeah, cannot be retired, but I guess it can still be bound. It's nice against Blade Master, a couple other cards that give you that retire effect. So resilient, and it gets that extra plus 5, making this a 19k column if it's on an Excel 2, and then a 24k column if it is on an Excel 1, which gets over the force numbers hitting a trigger, a defensive trigger. Next up on our list over here, we have True Ancient Dragon Alanaros. I like the artwork on this, I don't know why. I think it's pretty cool. Kind of like a metal albino looking dinosaur. But his skill is when you're placed from hand, we get to counterblast 1 and look at 3 cards from the top of our deck and call 1 Ancient Dragon to a rearguard circle. Put the rest on the bottom of the deck in any order. So again, just kind of filling up our board, which is really nice. They don't have to come as rest. We can summon them out, or just call them out, get them on the board, get that presence established. We can kind of choose to. We do run quite a bit of Ancient Dragons in here, so off the top 3, I normally find at least 1, if not 2. And it's good to be able to, you know, choose which one you really want for whatever situation you're in. So solid card, not too bad. It's nice that it's a double rare. And that wraps it up for our grade 2s. We are running all of those. Going into our grade 1s now, we are looking at Vicious Claw Dragon Lacerator. This guy came out in the very first Tachikaze set, I think, what was that, the Destructive Roar. This guy, when placed from hand, we can put the top card of our deck face down as an equip gauge for this unit. And then when we actually retire this unit, we may Soul Blast 1. And if we do, we can return that equip gauge to our hand. So this allows us to not neg off of Blade Rammus's effect. So if we have this on the fields, we placed it from hand, we have an equip gauge, we can target. This is our main target for our grade 3. We are able to retire this guy, call the equip gauge to our hand, and not really neg off of that whole transaction. So yeah, I'm running them at a 3 of. Going into another non-True Ancient Dragon, we are looking at basically the grade 3 Searcher. This is Prism Bird. Its effect is when placed from hands, we can look at the top 5 cards of our deck, reveal up to 1 grade 3 from among them, put it into our hand, shuffle our deck. The way that this guy gets plus 5 is if an equip gauge was given to a unit this turn. We're not really focusing on equip gauges, so there are turns where you're not going to get that plus 5, but if you happen to get it, it definitely is nice. It's also good too to search out early game the right grade 3 that we want to ride. Again, Barrel Tops isn't terrible, but we still want to be on Blade Rammus, and this helps us do that. I think it only needs to be run at a 3 of. I see enough grade 3s in my hands. I feel like if you're running 8 grade 3s, you don't absolutely 100% have to have that one particular one. You don't need to run a grade 3 Searcher at a 4 of. I find that I do have room in here. I'll explain something later where you could possibly take this out. That has to do with the trigger lineup, but yeah, as of my build, I am running 3 of those. Moving on then to our grade 1 True Ancient Dragons. This is True Ancient Dragon Albert Tail. Not a crazy effect. This is during your turn if you have a Vanguard with Ancient Dragon in its card name, this gets an extra plus 5,000. It doesn't sound super crazy, but that extra 5,000 does help us make magic numbers on occasion. The nice thing too is if you have this in the, two of these guys in the same column, this actually makes a 26k column. If you don't hit a front trigger, it's not the end of the world. If you're playing a force opponent and they hit a defensive trigger, they're at 23, you're still hitting that 26 number, which is really nice. I personally do like 13k boosters, who doesn't? But not the most flashy skill in the world, but I find that it is useful. Moving on then, we have the final grade 1 that we run. We're running 4 of True Ancient Dragon Terrafeed, right? Terrafeed, yeah. This guy is nice. This is another card that allows us to fill our board. Its skill is that when it attacks, the attack that it boosted hits a Vanguard, look at the top 7 from the top of our deck, call 1 card with Ancient Dragon and its card name from among them to rearguard as rest, and shuffle our deck. This allows us just to fill our board. I know it's not a multi-attack kind of thing. That would be pretty nice if it just let it, be called to board and as a stand. But does help us thin our deck and get more presence on board. I find that it's useful. It sucks that it's behind a on-hit effect, but we are looking through the top 7 and it pretty much allows us to really choose whatever Ancient Dragon we want. You're probably going to find a couple of those Ancient Dragons in the top 7, so I like the card. It also shares that same drive skill. When you drive check a front trigger, it gets that critical, so it works with our game plan. This is probably the hardest part to decide. I am running 12 fronts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And I'm running 4 perfect guard draw triggers. Now, a lot of people I've seen, this is where I'm seeing the most variance kind of across the board. A lot of people choose to run 16 fronts, and that's not incorrect. A lot of people decide, hey, let me run 12 fronts and 4 heal triggers. That's not incorrect either. I think there definitely is room in the main deck then to cut out these guys, add heal triggers, and you could probably drop the Prison Birds and maybe 1 Lacerate Rex, and you can do the grade 1 PG. I personally like the draw power. I know I've kind of gone on and on about that, this whole profile. That's just my flavor. I do like to have that, so I am running draws in here. Like I said, it's not incorrect though. If you wanted to run 4 heal triggers, no big deal. If you wanted to run 16 front, that's not wrong either. You're probably not going to take this deck to a regional. Why not run a fun deck with 16 fronts? How many times are you going to see that? But yeah. And then lastly, our number 50 is our new minimum Carno, actually, yeah. And that is pretty much it for our deck profile. I'll go into a test hand or two just to kind of show where this deck is trying to go and what it can do. Just a side note too, if you are enjoying this profile, it really helps us if you hit that subscribe button. You can request any kind of deck profile you want. We have a lot of different budget ones coming up. I think personally budget decks are super healthy for the game. When you look at games like Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, there's tons of communities based around budget decks. Vanguard, not so much. Maybe more recently though, with some of these budget archetypes like 7 Seas, Blows are coming out. I'm super excited for that, and True Ancient Dragons. But I think it's super healthy for the game. A lot of people on Reddit and, Vanguardians, whatever it may be, always ask, hey, I have a friend getting into the game, or I have, somebody, I just want to build a deck for fun. I'm not super into this clan, but I want to try it out. I think budget decks are a super healthy thing for the game. It allows people to A, get into it at a cost-friendly price, and B, just kind of experiment with different clans they might not be bought into yet. So yeah, let's get into a few test hands and I'll show you what this can do. Again, hit that subscribe button if you would like to see other deck profiles. All right, let us get a test hand going just to see what this deck can do under like a hypothetical situation. I know in Yu-Gi-Oh! And other games, a lot of people like to do different test hands. A lot of people think that you can't really do that in Vanguard, but I don't agree with that. I think you can kind of learn the deck and go through a couple test hands yourself just to kind of see what it does. You just have to assume that you take a couple damage, whatever it might be, but different scenarios you could play out in your head. If you have enough experience playing, you can definitely kind of just gauge how games normally go. All right, so let us draw 5. I got 1, that's not good. 2, 3, 4, and 5. So what do we got? Let's put back 1, 2, 3. Let's keep our grade 3 and grade 1. Bottom of the deck, let's do 1, 2, oh my gosh, 3. Jeez, struggling out here. All right, shuffle up again. Let's pray for a grade 2 on draw or something. All right, here we are. Let's assume we go first, so we're going to standard draw. I'm drawing a front trigger. Oh, it hurts. All right, I'm going to ride and draw. Oh, jeez. Definitely shuffled this too. All right, we went first, so I'm just gonna pass it over to my opponent. Let's assume our opponent swings. They get, boom, this guy. All right, my turn, stand and draw. Oh wow, draw of destiny. We did get a grade 2. Unfortunately, can't really do much with it, but let's just see. I am going to call. Oops, wrong guy. I meant to call him. This is placing on hit effect pressure. So I'm going to swing with both of these guys. We'll see. We'll say one of them hit. Let's say we get the top 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're going to call True Ancient Dragon as rest. So in this case, I'm probably going to call this guy. Let's call him over here as rest. That way we can move these guys back next turn if we still have them on board. Shuffle up, shuffle up, shuffle up. All right. Cool. Next up, swinging with this guy. Oh, we do get a front trigger. Oh, wow. So in that case, I mean, who knows if that was there before, but this guy would have 2 critical. Could have done that with these guys. Oh, well. Over to them. We're going to say we take 2 damage. 1, 2, front. And we'll say that ends it. Now our grade 3 turn. 1, stand and draw. What do we got? We do have a Blade Rama, so we're going to ride that. We got lucky. All right. Going to go Excel 2. Let's go with one of my cool custom ones that I filled in. There we go. Blade Ramius. Draw off Excel 2. All right. So cool. We're going to move these guys back. Let's place one of him first. We're going to counterblast 1. We're going to look at the top 3 cards. 1, 2, 3. All right, we're going to call a True Ancient Dragon to rear guard. Let's put him there. We're going to use his skill, counterblast 1. Draw a card. That unit gets +5. What do I want to do now? Let's also use his skill. Let's get rid of him. And retire a unit on my opponent's board. I'm going to search my deck for another True Ancient Dragon. Who do I want? Who do I want? Who do I want? Yeah, let's go with this guy again, just to get grade 3s out of my deck. Let's go with barrel tops again. Yeah, he gets +10 now, 5 from his own effect, 5 from him. Also going to use his skill. I'm going to just draw again. All right, we do have Lacerate Rex. That would have been a great target there, but yeah, let's play some top card. All right, it wasn't a front trigger, gonna go as a gauge, so that is good. And yeah, it goes to hand next turn, so that's nice. we are going to start our turn. I'm just going to go out swinging here. This is going to be 13k plus 12k over here. That allows us 13, 12. This is 25, right? Yep. 1. Haha, we do get a front trigger. 2. All right, so yeah, we would proceed to kind of swing, and that's how the cookie kind of crumbles. As you can see, it does have a coherent strategy for a budget deck. It's no longer just like, hey, these cards kind of work, they kind of synergize. Like, it has an archetype, it has a nice flow to it, so I really like it. I think it's a cool deck. Is it the most competitive deck in the world? No, but again, you're paying next to nothing. I mean, you could probably get this deck for like 30 bucks, if even that. I really like it. It's a fun deck. Yeah. So thanks again, guys, for watching. If you haven't already, just please subscribe. You can comment down below what deck you'd like to see next. I have a couple different budget decks, some I've never seen before, kind of, so I'm excited to bring that to the channel. Just wanted to bring something a little bit more mainline and mainstream with this True Ancient Dragon and fresh and new. So yeah, thanks again.